but I thought it might be really helpful to try it live here. So if anybody wants to volunteer, I think we were going to say what they should just say so in the chat, and we'll not sure in terms of time, but we'll pick 1 or 2 people, and I'll sort of walk through these questions with you and help you maybe get some ideas of what your newsletter topic could be.
Oh, looks like we've got 2 volunteers. Kwanzaa, I will go ahead and have you go first, and Michael, you can go second.
Hi, Josh. How are you? Thanks. This is awesome.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I have the big bright blue background with the logo in the top. So, Josh, I have Nation Wedding Business up under one name called A Wedding Breeze, and then I have a beach bar and venue called Chat and Chill Bar and Grill, which is a restaurant, beach bar, venue, and shop. And they're 2 different businesses, but they're related. You know, there's a lot of, so after the wedding, right, I, just like you said, like once someone gets a logo, like talk about weddings anymore, like they're married, they don't want to hear any more tips, or like they've been down that, that path. So should I just direct them into the chat and chill conversation about relaxing, venue, visits to our destination, or do I keep them in a Wedding Breeze news about and I can go through these questions. You can tell me, we can just answer them for a Wedding Breeze, or keep there about nesting and whatever else, like finances, or you know, that they're starting off as a new life together.
Let's start here. Let's go question by question, right? So forget the newsletter for a second. What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm trying to that the people that visit our island either get married here or visit the beach bar, that they have a long-term relationship with our island, and that they'll keep coming back for years. Like this becomes like a family destination for them, and it benefits the whole island. Obviously, I want them to come back to my beach bar and stuff and rent our stuff, but it's more of a nation marketing unique desire.
Okay. Who do you need to reach to accomplish it? People that I assume have already been to the island or are coming to the island, or
both? Yeah. People already been here, and people who are coming, so that they know to come visit us when they're here and come check out the beach bar.
Is it a specific type of person that comes to the island?
Outdoor enthusiasts, the beaten path. Is a very small market destination, no big rise hotels, there's no traffic lights, no fast food, no cruise ships, no crowds. It's, you know, it's like laid back, not pretentious, no gambling, nightlife.
Okay, so this is a bit of a stretch because I'm riffing here, but bear with me, right? So if you were to brand that kind of people and what they like as the sort of Bahamas lifestyle, right? Think about it as a lifestyle, right? And the pinnacle is coming there, right? Coming there and all of that stuff. But really, it's a newsletter about how to live the Bahamas lifestyle, both at the Bahamas, you know, ideally the pinnacle is you come there and you come to your place and whatever. But even if you're not there, right? Or you've been, I come visit and I come back to Los Angeles, but I had a great time and I'd love to take a piece. I'd love to incorporate pieces of the Bahamas lifestyle into my life, right? That's the newsletter.
Yeah.
So the newsletter becomes, and you might even, again, I'm riffing here and this is going sort of further down the line, but you might even, maybe in each issue of the newsletter, there's one section about how you can live the Bahamas lifestyle when you're not in the Bahamas, how you can take it home with you, how you can whatever. And there's one section about living the Bahamas lifestyle in the Bahamas. Come to my play, you know, like what, again, not just promotional, but you're creating this Bahamas lifestyle newsletter, which is going to appeal to people who have been there and love it, people who are going there, and people who are like, wow, outdoors and whatever, however you define it as, that sounds like me. And maybe someday I'll get there, but that's interesting. So you see how I'm taking the sort of specifics of weddings and bar, broadening it out to like, what do those people actually want? And in doing so, it sort of creates relevance, not just to your point, I'm theoretically only getting married once, right? So I don't need wedding advice after that. But I got married in the Bahamas and I had an amazing time. And someday I want to go back, or I just want to capture some of that Bahamas culture, lifestyle in my own way. And so that's a newsletter that, you know, those people will stick on, and getting them to stick on it. You know, let's say the person who comes and get married, right? And then they're like, oh, I love, you know, I've taken some of this Bahamas lifestyle with me, keeps you front of mind. So when they're telling someone else who's getting married, oh, the Bahamas, you should check out this newsletter, you should whatever. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And I think also for you, it's positioning you as, you know, this is what also gets interesting, right? From, because it can create other opportunities, PR and all. You're positioning yourself as sort of this expert on the Bahamas lifestyle and culture. And that's really interesting, let alone for all the people that have lived there, or maybe, you know, like all of a sudden you can see why lots of people would subscribe to that and want to be a part of that, that aren't that you previously didn't necessarily have any reason for them to connect with you outside of they're specifically looking for a bar or wedding. Cool.
And that's cool, like kind of like the guide, because I'm not Bahamian. So, you know, that's where I guess a little bit of an authenticity. I've been here 18 years. I'm married to a Bahamian. So I guess that's kind of, I'm like the guide. You know, I don't have to be the
right. It doesn't have to be you. And it could be you exploring and learning about Bahamian culture. It could be you, you know, again, once you go down this road, there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? You could have each issue be sort of from a guest person who is an expert, right? Here's, you know, this, you know, so you can do it in a lot of different ways. By the way, like this is a total side note and marketing hack. But if you do that, the person that you get to sort of be the guest contributor or give their picks will then also share on social media. So there's built-in promotion of that as well. So you can do, once you sort of start with that idea of like, I'm going to create the ultimate like Bahamas lifestyle newsletter, now there's all sorts of ways that you could go with it.
Well, now I want to go
Thank
to
you so
the Bahamas.
Sure.
Now, I need to go to the Bahamas now.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Next,
Should we do one more?
yeah, I have Michael Frank is next up.
Cool.
Hi,
Hey, Michael.
thanks for doing this workshop.
Sure. Thanks for coming.
My goal is to find musicians who are, to find musicians who have been professionals for a long time, but who have not reached the level of career or a particular career goal that they want. And to provide content that will help them, you know, give them little tidbits that will help them with a particular challenge.
Okay.
And to use the newsletter to find coaching and consulting clients that I've just described.
Okay.
Specifically in blues, folk, niche.
Okay.
In other words, you know, my content may be valuable to people who are hip hoppers, but those are not people that I
Right.
want to work with long-term. And another goal is also to find musicians who, having gone through benefited from my services, or who are at a certain level, that might be somebody I might want to release on my own record label.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's partly prospecting, partly to provide a service to the musicians in that niche that have been around a long time but are not really, well known, but who have a lot of talent. So those people value they value some ways to improve, some new insights on what they're doing and how to, and acknowledgement of their talent.
Mhm.
They value people in the business that believe in their talent.
Yeah. So let me ask you, is it about for them, and like when you consult with them and that kind of stuff, is it about helping them figure out how to sort of establish their own independent career, or is it about helping them figure out how to get discovered or signed by a label or something like that? Or both?
It varies. It's my experience so far has been some want to be discovered by a label, but actually that part of my process is to help them figure out why they want to be discovered by a label, to go deeper. So
But is it like tactical? Are you also giving them sort of tactical career advice, like
yes,
how to get your music listened to on Spotify and hear like that kind of stuff?
yes, and in that
Here's how to
respect,
book
partly
gigs, that kind of thing.
yeah, in that respect, part of what I'm doing is curating content and then provide, for myself as a record label owner, and also trying to up my own game, but in the process, finding the things that independent artists can do on their own, so they don't need to be on a label necessarily, which is really what's so.
But the target audience is primarily people. It's not sort of new up and comers. It's people that have been doing this for a while and they haven't got where they want to go, right? It's like a status, more veteran, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, they're not new up and comers, but they may, in terms of public recognition, they might be unknown, but they're not new up and comers in that respect, in terms of their longevity, their level of talent, or their level of skill, or how long they've been doing it.
Okay. So I think first of all, a newsletter is a perfect fit for that. And I think it's, in some ways, well, it's interesting. So before For the Interested years ago, and you should go check this out, it might give you some ideas. I haven't updated it in forever, but I ran a blog and newsletter called Connected Comedy. It's connectedcomedy.com. And it was all about basically teaching comedians how to use social media and digital tools to grow their career. So very similar, forget the sort of digital piece, but very similar to what you're talking about. It was just, here's how can I help you? If you're a comedian, how can I help you get to where you want to go and figure out where you want to go and all of that. So I think you when you look at that, I think you'll be able to you'll probably see some similarities and go, oh, I could create this type of content for my people. My advice to you, and I think it's a great niche, by the way, is, I would create a newsletter that's designed to share that kind of information. Basically, all the stuff that you talked about, seems like you have a pretty clear idea on it. But I think I would position the newsletter niche, it's not the Michael Frank newsletter. It's you come up with some name that reflects sort of this isn't a great name, but like Second Stage or what, that reflects that it's not for newbies, right? You're going to separate and reposition yourself, not for like new musicians, right? It's for people that have been at this for a while, and it's for blues folk, right? Which is specific, but anyone who is in that position, that newsletter is an absolute no-brainer for them to subscribe to. And I always talk about value is transformation. So if you want to figure out how to make something valuable, you think about what the transformation is. So the transformation in this case is it's someone who has talent, is established, but how do they get from where they are to the
Yeah.
point where they're sort of have a more flourishing career, right? So this
Yeah.
newsletter is all about that transformation, and I think it will do really well. And that's also like one of the things I found with Connected Comedy is, you know, in the arts like that, those communities are very connected. So the nice thing you'll have is all those musicians know other musicians.
Yeah.
So word of mouth in a niche like that can spread. Now, again, it's not, there's only so many people, but there's plenty for what you need. And word of mouth in that kind of a community can spread very quickly, because there is, that I know of, there is no other newsletter or blog out there that's specifically targeting those people, right? So they'll
Yeah.
love it, and I think there's a lot of potential.
And there are a lot of people who are teaching courses for musicians on how to do things in their careers, but I haven't found a newsletter. You know, they have email they send out to people who are trying to get new business or who have bought a course, but I'm not seeing newsletters that sort of curate but create specific stuff within a particular niche.
Yeah, and it's also, by the way, it's also very similar to my For the Interested newsletter. So like I describe my newsletter as it helps creators produce, promote, and profit from their creations. So it's not that hard to think about your newsletter being for, you know, established blues and folk artists, helping them produce, promote, and profit from their music. Like it's not, you know, I think if you look at my newsletter again, you'll be able to, my For the Interested newsletter, you'll be able to see very easily how you could do the same thing for your niche, and it would probably do very well.
Josh, we have a question.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, Jason asked, what makes Robinhood a newsletter? It seems like email marketing content that is designed to get people to take action, along with building credibility.
So that Robinhood Snacks, not Robinhood the app, but Robinhood, I mean, the new Robinhood Snacks is the newsletter from Robinhood the app. And if you look at it, it is it's basically a daily summary of financial news. So it's not about their product. It's about, here's the news of the day, which is valuable to people because it may help them invest, whether they use Robinhood or not. Does that make sense? So it's almost like, you know, Morning Brew, but for finance. Does that answer it, hopefully?
I think so. I love Morning Brew too.
Right.
Newsletter. So, well, it looks like we're about at the end of our time and we don't have any other questions. So I think we'll wrap it up for today. First, with a big thank you to you, Josh, for today's session. And because we value your time and your knowledge, I could listen for hours. It's so fascinating to me because I get lots of stupid newsletters. So I could listen to someone who does it right